Hello, are we here? Okay, I fucked up the live switch. Oh, yeah, we're waiting for the Kiwi to find me. Got his name, Fight Fight Club something. My computer is very good trying to run Discord and an OBS at the same time. Get back to the chat. Uh, well, uh, yeah. Listen, I hate these fucking traitors. Okay, or rather, I love my country more than anything. I love my country more than I hate these people. God damn it. Uh, fucking send an invite button somewhere. Hmm. Duck.
What up?
Yo. Where the fuck is everyone? I was trying to
I don't know. No one uses this Discord.
rip. Well, I just dropped the link to
It's
mine.
kind of,
Fight Sports said they were trying to have a thing. So
oh.
see if they follow through. Doubtful. MAGA cowards. I was like, what are you? Are you all? Are you hella woke? What? What? I feel like you're on my team mostly.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm definitely left. I would also self-describe my YouTube channel is called Patriot Government, so I consider myself progressive, like
Ah,
American nationalist, but not like ignorant. Um, so like I'm always really interested in like how the political process is unfolding in addition to like not just the characters and stuff that are involved.
word. I know. I saw you in the chatterino, so I.
So are you doing like the content grind or whatever it is right now? Or is this just like kind of, popped into panels and whatever,
It's
it is what
just
it is?
I'm here for the love of the game, baby. I just like arguing
Yeah.
with people. Um,
Hell yeah.
or I'm a scientist by trade, so yeah, I don't know. Whatever. That sustains me, but also I like telling people how they're wrong on the internet.
So are you are you're like an actual scientist or like an internet speak like scientist?
I'm an actual scientist. Like I, live, in a where Pfizer's global manufacturing facility is, you know,
Oh, cool.
uh,
Nice. Yeah.
but yeah, so
One of my friends, this one of my buddies in high school worked at Genentech, who I think they also do some medical research and stuff, but he interned at Genentech. This was like 15 years ago, but like back in the day.
right,
So that's
right.
pretty cool.
But yeah, no, I got into streaming, trying to argue with people who are on the carnivore diet, um, because that's whatever. That's 80% dumb and 20%, fine, or rather,
Okay,
like
cool.
80% fine and 20% kind of dumb. Uh, just
Yeah, yeah. So, and then yeah, that's cool. Yeah. I mean, I like Raging Tomatoes channel because it's a little more laid back than some of the others. Um, but it's cool. It's all right.
right. Yeah, no,
It's okay.
I appreciate Sarah. She's a sweetheart. I don't know. She's more honest than most, I guess. Which in this environment I really appreciate.
Yeah, cool. Oh shit, Fight Sport Talk just joined.
Shit. Oh, so Brynjald wants to fight. Okay. All right. Listen, I'm gonna dip out for like 2 seconds. I'm gonna go pee, and then I'm gonna drag all these people into my Discord. You're welcome to join if you'd like. But
Yeah,
also,
send me put the DM me the invite or whatever. Cool.
Uh, yeah. Renyel, if you're still here, hop and bother me, and I'll drag you up. Same thing with um. It's locked. Okay, can you people not get in bother me? There you go. All right. Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
What up? What up? Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, I have my shit locked on purpose because I don't entirely just want randos hopping in. But
Makes sense.
with dragging people up, it's weird. Whatever. I don't know. StreamYard is strange to me.
Yeah. Discord is very comfortable. It's a comfortable one.
Yeah. So how long have you been going on the Maters stuff?
Maybe like the last week or two. Um, yeah, it was just recommended by the algorithm, and then I saw a lot of people that I'd seen on YouTube before going on panel. It's the total opposite side of my own personal political beliefs. We were just talking really briefly backstage about a little bit about science, and so I have a bachelor's of science um, in political science. So uh, I'm not like super strong with like a lot of the like quantitative hard sciences. But yeah, I do take like the social science and stuff seriously. I understand how scientific methodology works.
How's it
Um,
going?
so yeah, that kind of stuff. Like for me, like that stuff does inform a lot of my political beliefs. So it was a trip. I do love like the Raging Tomato community for sure. Lots of cool people. But it's totally opposite of like what I do on Discord, what I do on my own channel, that kind of stuff.
Cool. What up, Brynjald? Hello.
How's it going?
Pretty all right. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. Can only do so good in a country like this at this time of year, but it's okay.
Oh yeah. I feel it.
Um, yeah, I wanted to come on and chat about how you feel you did there.
All right ish. Yeah, I don't know. Listen, coming in from work was rough.
Mhm.
Which is not a great excuse, but yeah, I don't know. I
I mean, I get it.
I I think the topic that I picked was way too broad. Um, she's like, oh, you
Mhm.
hate the whole country, you hate the stuff we have here, you hate the people who live here, you hate how the government's run, like you literally hate everything.
Mhm.
Which is really hard to like nail down like a very specific argument for, of just like, oh hey,
Sure.
like here's you know like here's the empirical data for why everything sucks. Um, but yeah, so I don't know. I'd give myself like a 3 out of 10 maybe. Um,
Well, I think you're selling yourself a little short.
all right,
I
four out
think
of
that
ten.
your topic. I think that your topic was all right. I do agree that like you know honing in on something a little more specific would have been good. Um, I think here's what I think your big problem was. I think you were really, really quick to cut people off, and that's probably not good. It doesn't make you look good.
Right, right.
That was the main. Like I think all of your content was fine. That was just your main problem was that you were just really quick to cut people off.
Right. Yeah, that okay. Admittedly, yes. So normally I get booted off of all of the like hashtag centrists, hashtag like middle ground panel. Like people pay
Mhm.
money very quickly for me to get the fuck off like really quickly.
Yeah.
So I'm so adapted to just like get as much out as you can as fast as you can.
Mhm.
Because we're gonna be fucked off soon. But yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And also, like, I'm a nobody. Like, this is my first time that I've been on one of those panels.
Right.
I just wanted to like kind of feel out the nature because I got invited on Mondays. So I just wanted to see how like the format worked and stuff.
Right.
So yeah, that like take my opinion with like a grain of shit or whatever. But yeah, I think that was your main problem. I think you just had to let people cook a little more. Because I think there were a couple times too where you were like preempting arguments that I don't think they were even gonna make. And I think you were a little too like you're a little too apt to bite on red herrings as well.
I mean,
Which a lot of observers were too, but
right.
I think like when you have a topic like MAGA hates American culture, and I like that you were trying to stick to like democracy and the Constitution and liberalism too. I think that was like that's a piece I use myself. But when you do like messaging like that, you have to really hammer it, like
That's
really
like
hammer it.
Oh yeah.
That's also really symptomatic of the panel verse. And I say this as affectionately as I can, is like if you put MAGA in the title of a video, all you're gonna get is complete bullshit out of people. There's like, and like at some point, if we're talking a little more in depth and we're saying something like, well, I at least want phenomenal reality. I want a phenomenon that I can talk about, that at some point, like an informed, educated opinion at least comes into that room. There's like a 0% chance of that happening on some of the panel shows. Most of the time people want someone like, whether it's Jim Bob or Andrew Wilson to come on and just shit on people.
Yeah.
Like that's the entertainment value. And like me personally, it's like, well, no, I don't want chapter and verse out of the textbook. That's not why. If I wanted that, I would just go to the library. But I do want something a little bit that I can like sink my teeth into. To me, that's a little bit better. So I agree. Like I think Darko could have hit a couple points, but I also think he was great inviting in some of the criticism and saying, look, we can actually talk about some of this shit. We can talk about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's I'm really quick to like when people were making non-arguments, like that was my whole or whatever. I took like 3 pages of notes before this fucking talk, okay? And like my real main like driving thesis was like, tell me how MAGA is going to MAGA, like without saying like, oh, but the Democrats, but they did it and because there really is like no good argument, like for
Yeah,
the
for sure.
illiberalism
Like-
and the hatred of the Constitution and the suspension of
The
due process.
one-
Like there's just
The one Aussie guy, I wanted to ask him this question so hard because he was talking about how the liberals don't represent any sort of American ideals, and at least the Republicans are going back to like the originalist idea of American morals, and it's like, okay, why, if Trump was going back to what the founding fathers wanted for the country, why would he like tweet out that we should terminate the Constitution to rerun the election?
Yeah.
Or like, why would he be talking about like suspending things that are like fundamentally in the Bill of Rights? Or like, and I think, and this part isn't your fault, but like the conversation about like DEI that ended up trying to start, or like a bunch of the non-starter topics that have nothing to do with the topic, like it's hard to, I acknowledge it's really hard to like nail people down like that. But God, I really wish that that guy could have answered to that, because I feel like it would have, like, there's no world where you can say that Trump adheres to the originalist morals of the country. There's no world where you could ever say that.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, unless you're like a white nationalist, you could very easily.
Even then, you're just.
Well, I mean,
you couldn't even.
I
say
think I think ascriptive hierarchy is just as much as an American tradition as liberalism or republicanism, which hurts me to say. I don't like saying that out loud. I don't like admitting it, but goddamn, it's like it's not wrong. Or sorry, ascriptive hierarchy being just like like there's a hierarchy that created based on your gender, race, class. Just like, oh yeah, actually, like white straight Christian men deserve more than others. But yeah, I mean, I think that's most of what they run on, where they're just like, oh, well, actually, American culture is white straight Christian men lifting heavy things in factories and putting them in machines that are operated manually.
I was going to say something far less educated. I was going to say that Trump's actually believable. And part of the reason why is because when he talks about nationalism and he's going around and doing town halls, he's asking people to leave the house to come out for him. And then even further go out and create that digital space and talking about whatever MAGA is, whatever we agree or we talk about feeling okay about today. And then when he goes, and then the next thing that happens, right? Not like he's plotting a revolution, but he's telling people that the thing that we need to happen is we need more Supreme Court justices that think like whatever a Christian nationalist might think. Like we need more politicians that are Republican and are just going to vote with whoever's president at that time. He's basically telling people that we do need more, whatever the white nationalist movement merged into, we need more people like that in government, which is sort of a scary way of, when we look at like populism, and like something that's never happened is like an attempt to homogenize a population. Not really, not like at the sense that, MAGA looks like it's trying to do. Um, People can say it's just like a lot of other movements, and so it doesn't matter that much. But you can also argue that, well, no, there's actually these ethno socioeconomic grounds for this, and so there's at least all the little like non-red herring things that extremism normally grabs onto. And so it's actually 10 times. It could be 10 times worse than people think it is.
I am inviting Fight Sport Talk to my Discord. So just a forewarning.
Inviting who?
Fight Sport, the fucking Kiwi, the
Oh,
the
good. I mean,
the
maybe I
illiberal
could get to ask that
Kiwi.
question.
Oh,
Yeah.
is a Fight Sport? He's going to join us.
I just sent him a
Joining us?
DM with my Discord link. So
Oh, cool.
so yeah, I mean,
I'm still not in
Nice.
in that server. I want to talk. I'm so just a little, not to like whatever. Most of the debates that I do are like just like TikTok, like open request line stuff. So I'm really trying to like build out a little bit. So I would love the chance to talk to like a lot of the people that I didn't get to talk to this time.
yeah, no, for sure.
But I was also are you a friend of non-fawns?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I love non-fun as much as a 30-year-old can love a 19-year-old.
Fire.
He's a fellow autist.
I was wondering.
Uh,
I was wondering because the only reason that I was like really watching your thing with Samantha is because I think I saw in his server he like wished you luck. So I figured that I'd pop in and see what all the hubbub was about.
for sure.
But yeah, like I talk to non-fawn every once in a while.
Yeah,
He did really good on his first on the panel that he did. He's interesting to listen to. He's very well informed. I think I'm not surprised that a lot of the people on Sarah's channel aren't a huge fan of him. Just because like the way he speaks is the things that like Republicans have complained about, that like there's not enough substance when we're talking about like just lines of data, being able to tell us actually what the world's like. It's at least like a model or a representative model or something. It's like, well, how does that actually become political? Because I can tell you two different stories about that. And if you're not supporting, this is one of the points I wanted to get to before the panel ended, was that like my hometown in Ohio, where I'm from, the per capita GDP is still $19,000 a year, which if there's people that aren't in the U.S., that's really bad in the U.S. In the U.S., that probably means that you either can't find a job, or when you do have a job, you have to work 60 hours a week, 60 plus hours a week to pay your bills. So like a lot of places, when family and stuff comes into it, when you're trying to figure out if there's anything else or anything next, like it's crippling. And so like Republicans want that story right now. They want you to talk to them directly. I don't feel like non-fawn does that.
Yeah, he's
which
very
I don't know if that makes
empirical.
sense.
Yeah, you need to be able to like relate to people beyond like kind of like I don't know. I feel like whenever you're just like listing stats off to people, it just feels super elitist. And if there's one thing that the MAGA movement's against right now, it's it being super elitist.
Right. Yeah, or I mean, I feel like the big issue is like, I don't know, like people will make claims and then not want to like dig into them really.
Well, yeah, that's one of the natural side effects.
Right. 'Cause, yeah, 'cause I
Yeah, but
mean,
I mean, people like Matt Trump's base, they used to make decisions based on education, based on elitism, right? You would make sacrifices if your kid could go to Harvard. You would you would move across the country if you got into an A&M school, and you would hope that there was government grants and land available that you could either start a farm, and ideally just that, right? Then all of a sudden you're an owner. Um, and so it doesn't make sense there. One of the like woke things that the MAGA movement's doing right now is they're acting like just whatever they read in the paper on the first seconds they wake up, however they're feeling after their first cup of black coffee, when they hear their Chevy engine start up. um you know they're saying that those are the things that we talk about, but we're only allowed to talk about it in one way. It's this fake commercial for America. And America never asked for that. I didn't ask to be represented by people that literally have put in zero effort into forming a belief system or a worldview. That's To me, it's reprehensible and it's immoral to do that. It's unjust. It's bullshit.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think throwing people out of the country for no fucking reason without due process is hella fucked. I'm doing everything I can to earn my spot on the El Salvador list. Um,
Yeah. I mean, that's good because I do think issues like immigration are so important still. Like, the other thing about that is like, not to be like the back in my day person. Um, we used to just talk about like, well, like you should have like ASU is the largest university in the United States. We should have ASU publishing statistics on first generation college students, on people that don't have citizenship that are attending ASU. It's a good thing if you want to come to the US and you want to learn chemistry or you want to learn biology or computer science, or you want to get a degree in business and you want to go into business and do that in the United States. Those are things to celebrate and to invest in. They're not things to run away from. And if there's a problem with accessibility, then we should address that problem. But everything is ultimately solved through these large, sweeping institutions and stories. And that's my story, and I'm going to stick to it.
yeah, I mean, I think our institutions are great. That's part of. I think it's the natural impact of a natural downstream effect of what the founding fathers intended. Like, gridlock is part of the political system. It shouldn't have been swept up by some populist bullshit. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I live in the best country in the world, and no one, or I'm open to arguments, but it would be really hard to convince me otherwise. Uh, but yeah, I hate that MAGA is destroying all the things that made this country great.
So, Rinyald, you said this was, we've just met on this random panel. What's your sort of shtick on the internet? What are some of the issues and stuff you kind of talk about, or the angle you're taking?
Yeah, do you like communists? Oh, wait, are they frozen? They're
We're
very. Oh,
super frozen, super gone. All right.
oh shit. Are you communist?
No, I was in college. I supported communism, not because of like the labor theory of value, but just because I didn't know how to. I said a lot of like it didn't make sense to me because this was back after the invasion in Iraq and Afghanistan, and to me, I would look around and I was reading, in school, I was reading Peter Singer and learning about not just poverty, but also animal ethics and stuff. I was reading about, just, in political science, you don't just learn in the US, you don't just learn about how the US works, you also learn about how really like fucked up countries that don't have anything going for them, how they fucked it up. And I thought a lot of this was because of like competition. I thought a lot of it was because of liberal economics. And so I don't have like this hard line of a stance. But some of that stuff is intuitively right. Like some of that stuff is, it's not totally wrong. If you set up a system for people to be completely free and just pursue their own self-interest, and it's in the definition that that's what it does, at some point there's worse and better ideas. I think the thing that like smooths it out a little bit is like ultimately it's like, look, at some point you have this like almost like funny meeting of minds where and there's a guy named Vivek Shiver who sort of thinks and talks like this a little bit. He's a sociologist, but one of the stories that he wants you to know is that like at some point you're going to have people that have been working at a call center for 30 or 40 years of their life, and you're going to see them and they're going to talk to the people that have been getting bank loans. Some of them maybe have been successful starting a business. Maybe some of them have not been, and they get into debt. And at some point, you're going to have all these people meeting and realizing that the system is bullshit. It's set up for people to make a ton of money, and it's set up for other people to not. And for me, as someone who's like patriotic, a little more like I'm progressive, but traditionally classically conservative in the sense that I don't want like a revolution. That's something that we have to deal with. We have to deal with this idea that, like the United States invites you to be a communist while at the same time telling you, you're never going to fucking work. You're never going to be successful. You're not going to understand actually how stuff works if you are a communist. That's really bad for us. And it's bad for you then. And so like that kind of stuff, it's not academic. At some point, that stuff is political. It's deeply relevant.
Yeah, I'm not entirely following. I mean, I think class mobility would be good. I like uh, the idea of if you're willing to put in the work and you have more ability, you can rise higher. I guess
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So what do you have? Because we were talking about science. So what is your background? What do you have a degree in?
I double majored in biochemistry and mathematics. I specialize in genetics. If you want a really boring lecture on the iron and zinc transport system in plants and
Sure.
how to edit them
Yeah, that's
using
good.
CRISPR,
That's fine.
good with that.
Oh, CRISPR. So CRISPR is like, what is it? It's like proteins. It's inserting folded proteins into gene cells.
No, it
Is that right?
is. It's repurposing a bacterial immune system to cut out or insert uh, like DNA into cells.
Got it.
Uh,
So big brain moves.
right? Yeah. It's not great for you. You can't use it for like normal walking around humans, just because the delivery
Yeah.
vehicle is rough. I mean,
Okay.
to like hit every single cell in the body is hard. It's easy to hit like germ cells,
Yeah,
but
of course.
you know,
And
the
and so and so with like CRISPR gene editing, then it's not only it doesn't only have research applications, but there's also it's accurate to say like personalized medicine and things like this. These are some of the current applications people are talking about with CRISPR. Or
uh,
how far out in history am I?
or I mean, so the idea of using it to edit the human genome is there, and I mean, it's possible. Like, it's not hard.
Yeah, that's
There,
fine.
there
Yeah.
is like a small issue with off-target effects, and you know, uh, we lack a large amount of fundamental understanding about the human genome in general. So to start like chopping up, like transcription factors and things that
Yeah. So Darko, what has between like what's killed what is planning on like what sort of attacked or like stopped CRISPR's progress? Like why can't I just cure like my family has diabetes, MS, like, these things that should have a genetic root in them. They should be, and so I think CRISPR technology should be in that room. Um,
Yeah, well,
like what's
well, the issue is that like like less than 10% of your DNA is coding for actual proteins, and like over 90% of your
yeah,
DNA is like reacting to your environment to decide how to produce those proteins. Um, like it's not just like, oh, you have like a bad gene. It's like, oh, like your body is putting together, like different
yeah.
models of proteins, like in general to deal with stuff, and to like just to razor in on just one of those and not affect anything else is extremely difficult.
That's cool. Um, and so right now with like the current state of CRISPR, um, like, like if I was, let's say I was either like I was at a research institute or I was like a venture capitalist or something, and I asked you like, so where does CRISPR? I know it might sound silly, but where does CRISPR live in the ecosystem? Is it a research capability? Is it something private companies are already doing? Is it something only large companies are already doing?
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
for like
who is
I
this technology accessible for?
for even an individual, for a couple of thousand or for a few $1,000s, like you could order whatever CRISPR like cassette you wanted to just shoot up into your own veins. Like it's super accessible. It's just a matter of the like again, like it mostly only hits like your germ cells. Like to really produce a whole body effect, you would have to aim it at the germ cells. Um,
Okay.
and yeah, I mean, like we've cured muscular dystrophy in like 1.8% of rats, or of a rat, if that makes sense. Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, just because to deliver like a or I just said this, but yeah, to deliver that mechanism to every single cell in your body is pretty arduous. Um, but yeah, I mean, like you can genetically engineer so yeah, most of my research is in increasing zinc uh, bioavailability in seeds, because zinc is super important for your immune system, or rather
Oh,
it's
yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah. So to fortify edible crops with zinc would be good for developing countries and all that. Um, and so yeah, like it's easy to do that within like a handful of generations of plants. It's just a matter of there are a lot of ethics in the way of
yeah,
doing stuff to humans. Like it's anything beyond like 20 days or something. Like you're not allowed to keep
yeah.
growing.
So can I ask a question? Like, okay, so uh, we're talking about this technology that's building the foundational building blocks of life, um, and then so in another sense, it's this thing that just it's like a fucking chainsaw. It rips through things. Um, like it takes these large social and societal problems and potentially just eliminates them. Something like when we think of like heart disease or MS or aging that could potentially impact millions, hundreds of thousands to, let's say 10,000, 10 million people to billions of people. um, do you think like CRISPR and other technologies are dangerous when we're trying to sort of supplant, just the normal processes by which we handle some of the, coming from a layperson who doesn't know anything, uh, is it dangerous that we have this what looks like a bazooka when we can't even solve a lot of our sort of like matchstick matchbox sort of scale problems right now?
I mean, I don't think it's intrinsically dangerous. I mean, like it is with
Yeah,
uh like there's when CRISPR first came out, it could only do like double strand breaks in DNA. Like it could just like cut out, like big chunks of it. And now we've hit a point where we can like do SNPs and like, introduce like other code into stuff. Um,
okay, yeah, yeah,
so yeah,
yeah,
it's like it's very much a scalpel. It's just our understanding of how of how a genome expresses itself in an environment is super duper lacking. Like people talk a lot about nature versus nurture, but that's not
Yeah.
like that's a dumb statement. Like genes express themselves in an environment. So to try to cut out heart disease of like, oh, like we can just alter this gene and you can stuff as many like chicken tendies down your gullet as you want and you'll never get heart disease. Like, well, the
Yeah.
downstream impacts of like uh, of editing for that are not worth, or like we just don't understand like the wider impacts of that.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. That's that's one of those, I think to me that's related to like my area of study, interest, all these things like liberalism. Thinking about like this sort of like our political foundations, from like government, but also like more theoretical like social contracts and stuff like that. Um, uh, you know, it's this sort of weird thing where it's actually hard to pin down in the philosophy and in the literature where humans decide that like you know I want science, I want scientists to go out and create and invent and discover these new things because we're part of a tribe, because we're part of a society, because we agreed to have a government. It's difficult to sort of pinpoint like that positive liberty where we are able to go out and do the things that we want. um, but it's also really difficult when we like a couple years ago there was that story in China about like human cloning, and it was like tisk tisk, bad China, loose controls, not understanding the pace of innovation in your education system, what's going on, right? So like narrativizing what seemed like it was a very unethical scientific happenstance.
But what they were
Um,
doing was like using CRISPR on like a human embryo to make it more resistant, or to make them more resistant to HIV, and they let it
but
live
that's not
longer than the currently accepted, or or sorry, or,
Well, I was going to say that's not at all what happened. What actually happened was they took a technology which wasn't proven to work with people and just assumed that it wouldn't have any impact on, I can't think of the actual scientific word, but it wouldn't have any expression outside of, whatever the risk was. It was just like, oh, this doesn't exist. We have a CRISPR benefit and there's no risk or there's no downside. And even if this person was a moral agent, there's no ethical conundrum here. Um, you know, so like I don't think even given this the whatever, it doesn't matter what the technology is. Um, it there's there's nothing that to me that justifies that sort of activity or whatever.
I mean, or at least until we have a better understanding of it.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, if
I mean,
if
to
we
me
could
that's way down the
magically
road, but
genetically engineer humans that had a higher resistance to disease with no downsides, or no like
yeah,
negative side effects, like you'd be for that, I
yeah.
would presume. Um,
Um,
yeah, that's just like a crazy, like wild out there like thought though. Of like, oh well, if you fuck with this, then you're necessarily gonna fuck with some other stuff.
y- yeah, yeah. Yeah. You know, uh, like it sounds so weird, but it just doesn't make sense when like if Trump's cutting FDA and stuff like this, it's like, well, clinical trials should have multiple layers of checks and safeguards, right? You don't just want bean counters, you know, doing actuarial studies and seeing if it's just safe, what does that mean? Like it's good that like the FDA does that and has that, but to me, there's like a red tape moment that has to exist where
Yeah, as much
I
as
don't know.
I
I don't no
support big
idea.
pharma for keeping me alive, I don't think they should just be able to do whatever the fuck they want willy nilly. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah,
Or I guess in the same way that I like science being peer reviewed. Um, I like checks and balances on supplements and
Yeah.
medications.
Yeah, that stuff makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
floor. Well, I mean, at least we're gonna get an autism registry, so I can find my people. We can all go to El Salvador together.
Yeah. Cool. Well, Darko, thanks for having me on. I think I'm gonna bounce out for the night.
Sure.
But yeah, it's good to be here. I mean, if you do any more of these, maybe get some of the other sides so it's not such a homogenous, you know, scientific circle jerk or whatever. It would be fun to hop back on and all that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks so much, Doug. Appreciate you coming on. Thanks for.
Have a good night. Bye.
Take care. That means I won. By the fascists. All right. We're gonna take a stab at maybe. No, we'll just call it a day. Thank you, Sarah, for cucking me real hard. And everyone else who came out, appreciate you. Support all maggots. Founding fathers are great. America's the best. Fuck all the Kiwis.